Hey guys, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I was just like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna make a video. I've already watched everything, right? I mean, and I'm not tired. Uh, Something I've noticed, and I want to tell you guys about a dream I had, um, and just make love to the camera here. You guys are just sitting here. I mean, if you're watching this YouTube video, you're interested in something, right? I mean, some guy sitting in his living room pondering mysteries of the universe, right? So something that I've noticed, and I've realized that I've gotten along best along with people in the business community that have the least amount of money. And there's a reason for that. Because, for one thing, society is used to having money flow in one direction. And you find that, and this is actually in inverse, actually, the people that need the most help are the people with the most money, because your view of the world changes. And I've seen it. People that have a lot of money have fallen into judgment of society in some way, shape, or form. Generally speaking, that's not true of all cases. There's a lot of people that have found balance, and basically, much of the spiritual community here on YouTube has found balance, because all you're doing, and I'm gonna read cards here, but we're gonna do it differently today than I've ever done before. Because you see the energies at play and the way people feeding off of each other energetically in some way, shape, or form, right? And I said this to someone tonight. I was like, I don't think you could possibly test my patience. I'm one of those people who, and if you haven't made money for long enough, and you have to support your environment no matter what, you will have achieved a level of consciousness that you couldn't do otherwise. There's no doubt. For one thing, if I have money, I don't have to support my environment. I can go buy whatever the hell I want. I can go do whatever I want, right? If I have $1 million, okay, put $1 million in your pocket. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sit at home, do nothing? Not likely. You are going to go do something. Maybe reinvest it. I mean, there are select few people, and this is actually a true story. My Uncle Dick told me about this when we were driving in a car. We were in Lake Oswego, and there was one guy in Lake Oswego. And so, if you guys are from Oregon, you might know this story. There was in downtown Lake Oswego, there was a guy that lived in a little shack on a piece of property that had grass, and he refused to sell his piece of property. One of the most valuable pieces of commercial property in the whole state of Oregon. It's in Lake Oswego, is like the highest dollar place in Portland, which is one of the highest. I mean, of all, it probably is. I bet that one piece of property, thinking about it, was probably the most valuable piece of property in the state of Oregon. And he refused to sell it. He'd go outside, and Uncle Dick told me this. He would go outside of his house, his little shack, and go mow his lawn in front of everybody, all the traffic going by. He's in grungies. He has no money. Poor. This guy he has no money. He could sell it tomorrow for, I think, and this is back in the 90s. I think Dick said for a couple $1,000,000, just a little plot, right? Now, I'm sure that's gone now. There's no way actually, that's a question I want to ask my Uncle Dick next. I'm going to see him in Orfino here in the end of June, and I want to ask him that question. Anyway, so that's me, right? I left my job a couple years ago, and you just kind of put yourself in service to the community, try and support people, but also questioning everything, right? Why do we do things? Why are we doing things the way we do? And I've understood a lot of things for a long time that's hard for people to see. the reason why money exists. Money exists because of judgments of the mind, because you just don't see yourself as a creator. You see yourself as just a beast in the field. That's why. You don't think that you're creating this reality. But everything, is created in the mind. So even the energetic projections at you, if you judge them as bad, that is a judgment of the mind. I listen to my father play Tom Jones and who's the other? Roy Orbison all day long. If I'm sitting in his chair just 5 minutes ago, he's playing Roy Orbison, he was playing Tom Jones. And what he does is he watches people react to certain songs, because Tom Jones goes in, just all these long, same song over and over and over. And if you can get to a place where nothing triggers you, you have figured it out. You got it. Nothing will ever bother you again. Never. You will master your own state of mind. Not only that, but you'll be able to see how your environment's getting triggered. And the only way that something can feed off of you is if you're being triggered, right? We live in a non-physical primary universe. The physical that you see is just the last, lowest energetic state of being. The increased states are all higher percentage creation cycle or higher percentage feeding cycle. That's all it is. The light and dark. So if you were to look at light and dark, the closer you get to source, that is a higher energetic creation cycle. Like 90% creative. Creating this reality. The first sun. And the second sun. The first sun is creating everything. The second sun is feeding on everything. That's the story of the two suns. If you look at a tree, it's growing in both directions. And one direction is creative, the other direction is consuming. So you want to balance that. You want to be a creator-consumer and balance it and find peace. If you're ever feeding first, then you'll fall out of that cycle. You'll be primarily consuming. So in order to create balance, because the creation cycle comes first, that's why creators will always be at peace, because you're not in conflict with your environment. So every single person out there, and this is true, and this is why you see everything that's going on outside around you. Every single person that is trying to sell themselves in any way, especially a service, is in conflict with their environment. Now, if you're creating something and trading that for something else that's created, totally different. Now, I can trade energies with anybody all day long, where because you're just reading, and usually their energy will be consuming because of the society that we primarily consuming. So they'll be usually they're weighing themselves against you in some way, right? A judgment of the mind. It's like, what am I compared to you, right? Which is all just falsehood. We're all one. These are just vessels. We are source, experiencing all of this, and we are creating it and consuming it at the same time through the vessel. You can only consume through the vessel, because as soon as you go pure source, then you have no vessel, right? Then that's everything. That's where everything comes from and goes back to. So I mean, technically speaking, yeah, it does go back there. So, but that once you get there, then bang, time goes away, and then which eventually. I mean, that's what we're gonna. The shift. That's what the shift is. When the field collapses all the way, bang, and all the energy goes through us. Like that, it's gonna happen. If you make it to if you can survive the next 6 to 10 years, yeah, So let's pull cards, shall we? Okay. So I had this dream the other night. I was on and this is interesting because it was kind of coincided with an old dream. I was on a sailboard, like like the surfboards that have the sails, but this is more of a kite board where you throw the kite out and it pulls you across the water. I was out on the ocean, fell in once, and I realized right after I woke up that the falling in, I have one odd card in this deck. So I have two decks. I'm going to show you guys this. I'm not going to look at it yet. We're going to find out what it is. And I'm going to finish telling my story before we look at it. This might be more interesting tonight, right? Yeah. I have. How do I show you guys this card without me seeing it? So it just looks like this deck, but it's in this deck. And that's it. That was the only card in there. That's so interesting. What are the odds of that, right? So I was on a kiteboard, fell in once. After I woke up, I realized that the ocean signified the emotional state of the planet, basically. Actually, and if you think about that, because water reacts to emotional states, that's the energy. Water is a structure that can change its structure that dictates what kind of energy it's getting focused at it. It can store so much energy. That's why water is such a magnificent thing, because it's that, those three, two hydrogen atoms and oxygen atom that you can rearrange in any position and create any structure you can think of. Because it's the basic structure. It's just a three-pointed structure. So it can build anything. It's the first three-dimensional structure. That's why water has so much power. And it's the basis of, extended life. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But then I went to the beach, and then there was a house that sat kind of off the beach and out over the water. I went in there, and I had the whole time I had two avatars sitting next to me, people that were in my past. They were in another dream that was an interesting dream when I was younger that I wrote in my book. If you guys want to read the book, just look at one of my other YouTube. I think I have it listed in this YouTube channel by the book I wrote. There is only one heart. Anyway, I was in this house, and half of it was in the water. It was like a living room where half the living room kind of sloped off, and then the rest was water, and then there's a couch sitting over the water. And there was a couple and a couple kids in the room, and they were just chilling. And to me, it felt like it was like a family that had mastered their emotional states, and they were sitting out of the water. A couple with a family. Because that's what that means, right? If you're not getting pulled into the water anymore, then you've mastered your emotional state, and now you're in more of a psychic state where you're just monitoring the emotional states of the collective, kind of, right? Because now you can decide what emotional state you're going to produce. Now you're the creator. And then I talked to him. I was like, hey, we got a place over here. So, if you guys have more people that you want to invite over, bring them over, right? My casa, mi casa, su casa. And they're like, oh, cool. And they were super friendly. I would think that it's probably one of you guys. If you're a YouTuber, it's probably one of you guys, if I was to guess. Right? Or a writer or somebody like that. Somebody that's just a creator that's not trying to sell themselves to somebody. A psychic. And then I looked on the board, and there were all these figurines. All these figurines, and if you've ever seen those, and I think it came from a British company, they're like little miniature heads on the walls. And we had a friend of the family that used to put them on walls. She had a whole bunch of them on one wall. She collected them. And I guess there was a couple different companies that make them, and some of them are worth a lot of money. There's some rare ones. She didn't have like any of that. She had a couple of originals that were from the original company, old ones that were worth money, but nothing like, some of them worth some money. Anyway, felt like, and Donna, yeah, I'm sure you're watching this video. You said ancestors and it triggered. It's like, yeah, that's what it felt like in the dream. Like their ancestors, all the people that were related to that bloodline, because you're carrying structure. The vessel that you're accessing this through is carrying all the structure that came down to that lineage. Not all of it, but enough of it so that it carried parts of that structure in the past. And so energetically, those people are tied to you if they're not manifested here in three-dimensional reality. Really cool, right? And so in order, actually, we can go on, but I woke up from that dream and then I was just like, wow. You reach certain energetic states where you stop dipping into people's emotions anymore. And you can just observe everything. And then create whatever emotion you want. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And that's what creates, the psychic community. So I've met what happens in the business world is you get disconnected from people because you don't need to connect with anybody. You're not actively interacting with everybody every day to create a positive state with everybody no matter what. And so you actually start healing your environment that way. You can heal your environment through altruism. And I'm sure many people have learned that they can do this, right? There's a lot of readers that I can tell, they've mastered their environment. It supports them. And so you can kind of see the flow of emotion around you and how people are feeding off each other. So let's look at this card, right? I'll show you guys first. What is it? I can't see. The Aeon 20. Is that the Temperance Angel? You see that? Okay, now we can look it up. This is from the Aleister Crowley tarot deck because he changed some of the cards. I think that's the Temperance Angel, right? The Aeon. Star, and Aeon. Oh no, that's the World card, right? Yeah. Action, redemption, rebirth, communication, limitlessness, reborn, absolution. That's what the definition. So I'll read this. As we're near the end of the tarot journey, this is the card of the heroine's redemptive montage in a movie. The reel of images that show the heroine taking action to sort out her life after the lowest point at the end of Act 2. This is Act 3, the resolution, the way back to a happy ending. This card is called Judgment in traditional tarot decks, but Crowley calls it the Aeon in order to highlight that this is where the new Aeon begins. There is a higher hope to this card that is less on the material plane, like the Star card, and more on the spiritual one. You can now see your past life and actions laid out behind you, and you are in a position to judge for yourself whether you like what you see. Since you are not dead yet, you have the opportunity to amend the characteristics you feel needed and retain those that you are comfortable with. It is a Dickinson Christmas Carol moment. You are being visited by ghosts who will show you your truth. It is a good time to keep an eye on your dreams if this card comes up in a reading. Sounds like kind of like me, right? I mean, what I'm building, what I'm doing, right? if you guys watch this channel. The three figures at the bottom of the card are rising in rebirth from the letter Shin, which has three yods as its petals. From these, the humans emerge into the new era. The scales of the Libra are behind these, alluding to the judgment at the end of life. The feather of Maat is used to weigh the hearts of the dead and to judge their worthiness. So even though Crowley renamed the card the Aeon, there are plenty of symbols for the Last Judgment here. The Last Judgment. Last Judgment of the Self. All right? Have you judged yourself worthy? Have you lived a life that you're happy with, right? How are you judging yourself? Should you judge yourself? This card is an adaptation of the story. So, a lot of times when the Judgment card comes up in the other decks, a lot of times it's about gathering parts of yourself that were lost, right? Don't ever judge yourself. For one thing, you're always moving from darkness to light, and you're coming into higher states of awareness. So when the Judgment card comes up, it just means that you're going through a phase, that you're collecting parts of yourself so that you can review who you are and why you're doing it. Become a creator, right? There's nothing more that will make you happier than just becoming the creator. Yeah, right? Because that's what everything is. But it doesn't realize it is until it gets to a certain state of mind. Right? Everything thinks it's just a thing feeding off everything else. But that's not true. Which is why I started my co-creative roundtable, right? So knowing that, let's pull some more cards, shall we? Excuse me for looking at myself sometimes. I get distracted by the camera. And I know that's why a lot of readers don't put themselves in the camera. Like if you watch a lot of readers, they don't, because it isn't about them, they're channeling a message. But this is about me and you. I don't want this to be just about you, because this is about me too, right? Wouldn't you say? It's always about me and you. Now, if you take yourself out, are you afraid of showing yourself? I'm not. I'm just asking the question. Because everyone is beautiful to me. And if you're worried that somebody might not think that you look pretty, then why? Who cares, right? Whatever. Just be who you are, right? I don't. But I understand why, right? What's mine? So yeah, I'm talking to people who are, and this is why this is happening. If you guys don't know, the people who are self-aware are going to end up running everything, because the people with the most money will start running in fear, because everything's going to start changing a lot, right? Especially when certain things happen. I ain't going to say what. Still juggling stuff, yeah. Wow. This is me. I'm just reading for myself. And actually, you guys who are watching me, jeez. Taking action. Look at this, guys. It's like Hierophant, High Priestess, standing on either side of Two of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. So you're celebrating with family and juggling a bunch of stuff while you're teaching and reading the psychic landscape while doing things that have never been done before. You're an agent of change and innovation, and staying busy. Why you're in the Eight of Swords? 'Cause you have no idea what's next. Wheel of Fortune. That's a good sign, right? Isn't the Wheel of Fortune a good sign? And a lot of times, you can't help but, stay in the wheel and a temperance angel. That's where it's leading to, right? That's the purpose behind all of it, right? Is becoming the temperance angel, where you can heal any situation because you Wheel of Fortune and the temperance angel. Such a powerful reading. Wow. Let's take an oracle card. I mean, you can project energies and change people's structure. All you have to do is let go and just let it happen. I've seen it happen. People that believers, it's true. People have used Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, be healed. I've seen healings. But if you're using somebody else as a conductor, you don't fully believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself and you understand who you are, you can heal anybody. You just have to ask. Sacred Journey. It's one card I got. Sacred Journey. It's a sacred journey, right? It's always a sacred journey to really figure out who you are. You guys are the light of the world. The most beautiful things that you can possibly imagine. All you have to do is let go of the past and walk forward in faith and start serving the people around you, and you will fall in there will come a point where you'll finally fall in love with yourself and everybody else, because you'll see where you were at on your journey. There isn't anybody that can't be redeemed and loved unconditionally if they just let go of all of it and just walk forward in faith. I love you guys so much. And I'll catch you on the next one. All right? Love you.